Today is May 3rd, 2025, and I am 19 at the moment. In 28 days, I will have been on this earth for 2 decades. I want to start by saying that if I were to rate my feelings at this moment on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the most calmest and happiest, and 10 being the most filled with rage, anger, and sadness, I would say I'm at a solid 8. Even though that's only a couple points down, I do feel like I'm starting to feel better. I feel like the things that are happening in life now are just a part of life and is a part of our growth rather than life being against me. The more I've talked about the situation of family and friends at work, I think it's helped me realize the parts about myself that I want growth in. It helped me realize that yes, I may have partially been a victim in the situation, whether it have been emotionally, but also made me realize that certain decisions that I have made relate to me being a victim emotionally. I want to start by saying that I'm manipulative to myself. And I know when we hear the word manipulative or manipulation, we automatically think to traits of being a narcissist or someone with multiple personality disorders or someone who just may not be the best representation of a good person. But I want you to know that if you ever felt like you manipulated yourself or at times you find yourself manipulating situations, those don't directly lead to traits of only something to be diagnosed with. In a world where we look at manipulation as a bad thing, which it isn't the best thing, but in my terms, I want to use it as something being unhealthy. I've used manipulation in a way of some way of being a coping mechanism. I'll say a very, very unhealthy coping mechanism, not in a sense that I'm constantly lying to people or I'm just going out of my way to fabricate things to make messy situations, but in the way that I want situations to go my way. I want life to go my way. The unhealthy occasional manipulation that I'm talking about is that when I'm in a situation that I feel hurt, I'm not willing to understand the other person's point of view in that situation most of the time. If I am, then it probably won't be until a few days, a week, or a month later because I'm so caught up in how I feel that the other side of the situation doesn't matter. And that if something, that is something that is very manipulative to myself. Another example I can give is that more recent situation that I've been talking about in the last two videos, the situation with the boy, was that I knew that I wanted a relationship in the end, and I knew that he did not want one. Even though there were times where he would hint that when he's got himself together, he'd be open to the idea of a relationship, he constantly reinstated that it's just something that wasn't on his radar for a while. From my unheard of point of view, that this is not something that I've said before to him or to anyone, and I'm just now saying on this recording, even though with probably 90% of my heart, I helped him because that's just my thing of helping people, you know, wanting to make sure everyone was okay. I believe the other 10% of me helped him, believing that if I was there, if I continued to support him, if I agreed that I'm okay with him not wanting to a relationship, even though I knew it was something that I wanted, I thought that evidently the quicker that I help him get on his feet, the quicker he is more likely to open up the space to presume a relationship. That is a manipulative thing to do in a situation. When I thought back to the situation and reflected over it for the past 3 days, I constantly started to think that maybe I am a narcissist and maybe that there's something going on with me that I genuinely just need to go get diagnosed for. But I had to realize that this isn't a trait that I do often because I don't talk to guys often. This isn't a trait where I'm trying to avoid the accountability or trying to shift the blame on everyone else. And this isn't a trait that I'm trying to justify my part, even though there are flaws in it. This isn't a trait that I was using to bring somebody down for my own self gain because those are all traits of a narcissist. This was merely an unhealthy coping mechanism. And I'm no therapist or have a degree in psychology, but I have had some psychology classes because I'm in school for that as my minor. But I do know that being aware and willing to take responsibility and change is a stance that you aren't some type of narcissist and you aren't trying to purposely hurt anybody. And I want to iterate that if I'm talking to you, that I'm not diagnosing you and I'm not a professional, that I can say that this is exactly what I have been feeling, and I know that there's somebody that may be able to relate or understand that feeling. But I do want you to understand that unhealthy coping mechanisms exist, and they don't make you the worst person in the world. Even after the situation now, I still feel bad and I feel a bit guilty for the way that I went about things with him. Even the time where I couldn't apologize for him for my part, I think that I do want to later uphold that apology. Because I don't want this video to be too long, in under 10 minutes, just like all my other ones, I want to say that this is the first thing I wanted to talk about in my journey to 20. The first thing that I want to patch up in my teenage years so it won't lead up onto my earlier adult life. I don't want to be manipulative to myself, to situations, or to others, because it will only constantly hurt me and may possibly affect others around me in the future. If it continues, I'm merely speaking on this because there may be somebody else who may be feeling the same way, but doesn't necessarily know how to talk about it or want to talk about it because they don't want the feeling of being judged by society. Those are all okay feelings, but remember that the best way to help your situation is to deal with it. I had continued to make excuses with it for the past 18 years of how I grew up, and I can't continue to do that, so I'm going to deal with it no matter how hard it hurts or how difficult I feel like it's getting. I'm making a promise to myself right now that I'm going to deal with it. I owe it to the future me, the past me, the people that will touch my life, the people that may leave my life, that I can show them the best version of me, and that even if they can't see that, or even if they can't see the work that I put in to be the best version of myself at the time, I know I did my part for me and not for anyone else. That's all I have to say for today.